Aloha, everybody, and welcome to the Jason Jones Show. I am your host, Jason Jones, broadcasting from the beautiful hill country of Texas. It is beautiful, but even in November, it is really hot and really humid. So today, we're going to have Father Viktor back on the show. You remember Father Viktor? He is the director of VPP Nigeria, but he also is the director of a hospital. That's his main gig, and VPP is something Father Viktor has been so generous to share his time with our organization to provide security for Catholic parishes, hospitals, and religious communities across Nigeria, and we're growing. We're going to have Father Viktor on again today. We just had him on to talk about Nigeria, but Father Viktor and I just spent almost 2 weeks together in Texas, in Virginia, and Washington, D.C. Then I had to go to L.A. for work. And then together we met in Mexico City, where we took part in a political event, kind of Catholic, conservative event in Mexico City. And now Father is in South Carolina. So just in 3 weeks, Father Viktor's gotten to see quite a bit of the United States, and he also got to go to Mexico City. So I wanted to have Father Viktor on to get his take on our beautiful country from his experience. So, as always, so I always forget. I have to say, how do I forget the most important part? The most important part is this episode is being brought to you by the Vulnerable People Project. And we stand in solidarity with the most vulnerable people in the world when the world has left. From the Nuba Mountains of Sudan to across Nigeria, India, into Gaza, the West Bank, to the child in the womb right here in the United States. What we do at the Vulnerable People Project is we seek to defend the vulnerable from violence by promoting solidarity, promoting human dignity, and inspiring solidarity. Go to our website, vulnerablepeopleproject.com. Look around at what we do. When you see what we do, you're not going to believe it. And then look some more, and then you're going to go, oh my gosh, I believe it. And then donate and become a part of our team, because it's our donors that allow us to do everything we do. Our donors are the heroes. So join us as we serve the vulnerable. All right, now on to my interview with the great Father Viktor of Nigeria on the Jason Jones Show. Father Viktor, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jason. Nice to be on the show. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Well, thank you. Now you're in South Carolina, yes?
Yes, yes.
Have you had Bojangles yet?
A lot of it so far.
Yeah, have you had biscuits and chicken, and have you had sweet tea yet?
Of course, I do. And
What do you think
you
of the
know,
sweet
now
tea?
now I'm getting used to taking coffee. So I do take that, and once I take coffee, it takes care of my whole day.
Well, Father Viktor, it's been great having you. You got to come here with us. We went to the same you came here, stayed with our family. We were able to put you in a historic home in a historic town of New Braunfels, Texas. You got to go to a movie theater with us. You got to go to see Bassem Youssef, a stand-up comedian. Then we went to Washington, D.C. You got to walk right into Steve Bannon's kitchen, which I don't even think you understand how crazy that is. And then we went to Mexico together, where we both got to speak at an event hosted by the great Mexican actor, producer, and hopefully soon to be president of Mexico, Eduardo Verástegui. So I just wanted to get your take on our country and how you see us through your eyes as a Nigerian and a priest.
Okay, thank you for having me once again. It's a wonderful time in the US. The experience started even when I was still in Nigeria before coming down, when I got the invitation letter from the VPP inviting me to come and have experience in America, have meetings with the donors, and see how VPP works, so that you also enhance my knowledge and strengthen me too to be able to continue the work back home in Nigeria. So the process started then with the invitation letter when I went to the embassy, the US embassy for interview. It was all smooth because of the letter of the invitation. And of course, the permission from my bishop, my diocese, and of course the Catholic Secretariat of Nigeria, they also permitted me to come. So that way the interview was successful and visa given. And on the 1st of November, I landed. Okay, no, I left Lagos, Nigeria, and landed on the 2nd of November in Atlanta airport. So at the airport, before then, I got an email from your assistant reader asking me of the type of food I will eat when I come, the snacks, the drinks, and all that. I was like, you should just calm down first. Let me just come before. But that was a whole lot for me because it already prepared my mind and letting me know that I am already welcome even when I have not arrived. So, and on landing on at the airport, it was wonderful. I missed my connecting flight because of the logistics at the airport. And that was a turning point for me because I was afraid, I was scared that missing my flight is going to cost me additional money to book another, to be rescheduled in another flight. But on getting to the front desk of the Delta airline, it wasn't as I thought. I was calmed down. I was told it was not my fault and all that, and I was rescheduled at no cost. That meant a lot to me because I know where I'm coming from and how things like that used to happen and the consequences. So that was one thing I learned from the airport, and of course, I was able to join the second flight from Atlanta to San Antonio Airport, where I was warmly received by the great Jason Jones himself. He embraced me and welcomed me to America. I was happy, and he took me right from the airport at San Antonio straight to a grocery store. Told me, pick anything you want, pick anything you want. And while I was just picking one or two things, I was just thinking about the email reader sent to me asking me of the things I need to stay with when I come there. And you were there asking me to pick anything I want at the grocery store. And I'm getting home, the house was filled, the fridge was filled with food, fruit, food stuff, and all that. So I'm trying to say that I was, the welcome I met was so warm and so friendly and all that. So I had a nice stay in Texas. That was my first place. That was the New Braunfels where I stayed. So the next day, which was Sunday, we attended Mass at St. Peter and Paul Parish, where we met Father Patrick and others, and I concentrated at the Mass. And after that, the following day, Monday, we started work immediately. And I saw that what I knew about VPP and my expectations has been that VPP is a big organization. Given the many countries it has covered and supported, so I was expecting a massive office space and a great number of staff. To my greatest surprise, I came to see that VPP, with all its glory, so to say, has just been 4 staff. 4. So that was something so wonderful to me and shocking because when we know what this organization does and the extent it has gone, and having just 4 staff is something so amazing. And of course, I witnessed how it works because from morning, if not just the normal 5 hours of work here, but VPP runs 24 hours. 24 hours. I don't know whether I am reporting VPP to the American government that that the workers work almost 24 hours. But On my in my interaction with some of the workers, they said they are happy doing what they are doing. They're not looking at the time, but they are looking at the humanity they are serving and they are working for. That is something so amazing to me, because I am working in a hospital. I am working with people that we have duty roster, we have schedule of work. Some people will want to exceed their schedule, some will want to stick to time. But what I saw in VPP is that nobody looks at time. Instead, they look at the goal to ensure that they achieve the goal until the target is made. Then we are not talking about time here. So that is something so inspiring, so wonderful to me. And
Fa- Father, I'm glad you're inspired because sometimes I'm embarrassed by how small we are. I'm afraid people will be disappointed when they discover that we're not as big as people think, and then they'll be let down.
yeah, I must comment on the simplicity, the patience, and the humanity of the American people. I keep on mentioning it to whoever I meet that ever since I stepped my feet on the grounds of America, I've never seen anyone being angry. I've never seen anyone being angry for whatever reason. I'm not. Instead, I keep on hearing, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, even if it is not your fault. And it's something so wonderful that I have to learn from. Because sometimes being in charge of the hospital, sometimes I can be angry myself. When people do not meet my expectation, I can be angry. But what I have seen in America has really, really uh, taught me that sometimes anger does not solve any problem, but dialogue and
Father, I have to
understanding.
confess, before you came, all of us in America got together. We all got together. We had a call. We said, when Father Victor comes, we're not going to ever act angry in front of Father Victor. So we get angry. The whole country did a conference call, a Zoom call, and we agreed that we would not let you see that side of us.
Well, I don't think that's the case. so, but this is something so wonderful. But I sit down to ask myself some questions on this. So why do I get angry so easily? And what makes us to be angry back home? And of course, even talking about the present insecurity situation in Nigeria is also as a result of anger. And this whole thing started, we have some different groups in the country in Nigeria that come up with one form of agitation or the other. Because some of them are angry because the government have refused to give them their right to do to do to them, to give them their due. For instance, now have enjoyed 24 hours electricity here in America, but not so in my country. And of course, that is enough to make people to be angry. That is enough. Like where I am working in the hospital, when you have emergency case that requires surgery, that requires anything, and of course the first thing should be light. So when there's no electricity, of course that is enough grounds to be angry. The patient relative will be angry and all that. I think that is where I want to appreciate VPP for the support they gave us to have the solar power, because that has taken away a lot of anger.
Father, there was
Okay.
interesting
Yeah.
that you were talking about the
So
electricity because
yeah.
right then we
So
had a little technical difficulty. So
yes.
we'll
So
fix it though
so
in the editing.
yeah, I was trying to look at the causes of anger, annoyance, agitations, and possible violence in Nigeria. So beginning from myself and from where I am working, and the lack of electricity, lack of water, and all that, where I had to appreciate you and VPP for the support you gave us that has made us to have electricity and water all the time. So you see that within the hospital environment and the immediate community, the anger of not having electricity and not having water has been taken away. So that is why American people are always happy, because they have the basic amenities of life, which is lacking in some other places. So we continue
You
to
know, one of the
appreciate you.
things that we say, Father, with our staff, I share with our staff is obviously we lose our patience. I especially can become angry. But I remind myself that, especially the people we serve, these vulnerable communities, I say I'm like a dentist, and they come in with a toothache. A person with a toothache is not in a very good mood. They might not be very gracious. They might be short tempered, but I don't have a toothache. So I don't have any excuses to be short tempered or to be angry. And so I always remember that the communities we serve, we're dealing with everyone has a toothache. Does that make sense?
Sure. Sure.
And if I have a toothache, am I thinking about your toothache? No, I'm thinking about I have a toothache. But if I don't have a toothache, well, then I'm in a good mood. I'm fed, I have electricity, my roads are clean and safe. I'm good.
Sure. So I know that we are still getting there gradually, because the immediate hospital environment where I'm working, we are out of that problem of lack of electricity. We can boast of that we have light now all the time and water all the time and all that. So I saw how patient Americans are. When I say American, the people that I've interacted with, beginning from the road, you see how people are paying attention to traffic lights, and nobody has tried to overlap anyone. And of course, I've not seen or heard of accidents ever since I came here. Something that is in some places happens almost every day, just because of impatience on the road, because of anger, because of sometimes bad vehicles. And I want to commend Americans. The vehicles you guys are driving are wonderful. It is something so good. And the patience part of it, the orderliness. That's another thing. When we get to any grocery store or any mall, or even when we went to that show in San Antonio, I the I saw the place. It was almost like a stadium, and I took time to observe it. There was no one directing any car on where to park. Everyone would just drive in and park accordingly. Accordingly, it's something so wonderful and so organized. And I wonder, when did you guys get to this level of organization and doing things in this way? Because some places, I don't think it is so. But this is also one thing that I've learned, that going back home, I have to try in my little way, beginning from my immediate environment, to see how to implement some of these things. Because it's not just about making a bigger change, but working on the people, for people to be patient, for people to be organized, and for people to be considerate. Because when you consider another person, you see that you can always wait for the other car to go first. You can always wait for even those trekking, for the those who are trekking, to pass first before a car. So this is something so wonderful I have seen. And
Father, when we as Americans, the things you're talking about, we don't see in ourselves, right? All of the virtues you see in us, Americans wouldn't even recognize as virtues. They take it for granted. But I am privileged with the work of VPP to travel the world, and I see all of the beautiful splendor and characteristics of the different cultures and peoples and communities I get to visit, and I get to take that home with me. Um, what do you see that maybe was there anything you maybe made you feel sorry for us, or anything you think that we're lacking?
was there really anything that made me feel that way? Well, I don't really know, but the issue of time difference, because the people I've interacted with, they're not so comfortable about the changes in time. Because when I arrived on the first, the time difference from Nigeria and America was five hours difference. On the second and third, it was immediately changed to 7 hours. And moving from Texas to Washington, it was different. So I've been asking people, what do you think about it? And many of them are not comfortable. I think that is one thing that we are so blessed in Nigeria, that our time remains the same, so that we are not confused. Even as I'm staying here, sometimes I'll be wondering, is today Tuesday or today Monday? Because of
Well, we're
the
such a
difference
big
in
country,
time
like we're
and all that.
so.
So that is one thing that I don't so much appreciate. I wish those concerned can do something about it, because it can be so confusing. And even interacting with mothers, they said it affects the children so much, the baby so much, because it's difficult for the children to adjust. So if Americans can look into that and see what to do about it,
There
because it
there's a
seems
lot of there are and what's even more confusing, Father, is there's states that don't change. So I'm in a men's group that we meet online every week, and it's out of Arizona. They don't change their clock. So the only people that attended the men's group that day were from Arizona. The rest of us were late. So there is a lot of controversy over daylight savings time. And, yeah, so when you leave, all of America is gonna do another Zoom call and say how we did with Father Victor. I'm gonna say, "Well, did you guys know he really doesn't like this
yeah.
daylight saving times nonsense, so maybe we'll get that changed."
And another thing I don't like about America is the weather. The weather didn't treat me well. I've not enjoyed America well as I expected because of the weather.
Well,
The
that's because you went to Texas. We should bring you to some other places, Father.
so the I don't know who controls the weather apart from God. If
Ritha,
it
I
is
think Ritha is assists in that. So
no,
I'm
no,
gonna send Ritha to human resources and
that,
have her talk to.
that is one thing I've not enjoyed America because of that. The cold was too much to me. But surprisingly, I when I was in Virginia with Nicole and her babies, we went out to one of the parks to check out, and her babies were without much covering as I was. So I was asking her, is the cold not going to affect your baby? She said, no, they are used to it. I was surprised. I said, baby is used to the weather already. So you see, but it's also good if you guys are used to it. But for visitors, it's not something easy to come by.
So,
Now,
Father, you
another
got to
thing.
see. Oh, go ahead.
Okay, another wonderful thing I have learned is we the highly placed in America do not allow their offices to enter their head, thereby looking down on the lowly place. For instance, I'm just looking at myself as the person in charge of the hospital I'm working with. And in the hospital, we have hierarchy: the doctors, the nurses, the pharmacists, the lab scientists. Then we talk about the drivers, the cleaners, and others. So I see how I relate with the cleaners, the drivers, the security people compared to how I relate with the doctors. For instance, if the doctor wants to have an audience with me, I will give him so much attention, but it would not be so if a security man wants to talk to me, because I feel he is just a security man, so to say. But what I have seen, the day we went to Stephen Shannon house,
Steve Bannon's house, yeah.
yeah, I was, because reading his profile and knowing who he is, I was thinking that first of all that he will be guarded by security arms and where he is going to live and all that. When we entered his room, his house, in fact, where I stayed in Texas is even more beautiful than, than where he's staying. Yet he is as important as that. And the day we went to the White House, it was easy access. And I can count the number of soldiers we saw, that it was just five. And those five were just discussing with people, interacting and all that. So that people were able to have access to the White House, taking pictures and doing that and walking away. That rang a bell in my head, because I know in some countries, in some places, not the same way. So that is having value for human life, and of course, not minding your position. Of course, knowing that your position is to serve, not to scare people away, not to intimidate people. So that is something so wonderful. And of course, I don't even want to make mention of the great Jason Jones himself, how you interact with your staff, how you interact with all of us. In fact, sometimes people will be wondering who is really the boss here, because because of the way you relate with us. So it's something that is so amazing that I've learned from, to also in my little way, to see before I even talk to others about it, to see how I will relate with my staff, and having equal regard for everybody, not looking down on anyone because this person have not attended this height in life or thereabout.
Father, when we were in DC, we got to do a international TV show together at a studio. I mean, we did so much in that week. It was mind boggling. But I
Wow.
want to talk about just meeting Steve Bannon. So we had a meeting with an audience with Steve Bannon. I believe he was talking to the president of the United States when entered the room, actually, or some of the president's senior staff. But we walked in and he just welcomed all of us. And it was you and then a Christian from Gaza. And were you surprised at how concerned he was for vulnerable communities around the world? Because Steve Bannon has this reputation as being a tough guy, this kind of guy, that kind of guy. But I know him, and I know him as a very generous and gentle man who's really concerned about the vulnerable. I'd like your perspective on our meeting with Steve.
Yeah, it was wonderful with him and the concern he has for other people. We had discussion with him on what is going on in Nigeria and how he feels about the whole situation, and also the discussion he had with the other guy from Gaza and how he felt about the whole situation and his plan and effort he wants to make in ensuring that within his capacity he's able to solve whatever problem he can. And of course, I know that day he was on phone with Trump himself and telling Trump about the meeting we had with him and what his plans are from what we told him. So it was a great opportunity and honor to have to meet such a personality, and hoping that our meeting with him is going to help in no matter how little, at least it's going to help. And I've got that yesterday. It's yesterday that we had the Zoom meeting with Mary, the working with the congressman, and also she made mention of it as well. So, so meeting with all these people, thanks to you, is also hoping that it's going to influence our countries. When I say our countries, Nigeria, Gaza, given the other guy, and the plan that Trump has for us, because uh, now every day one calamity or the other keep on happening in Nigeria. Just last night, a church was invaded by herdsmen and they killed three, abducted the pastor, and they ransacked the church just yesterday evening. So this keeps on happening, keeps on happening. So we want to see whatever help we can get from the American people, so that this problem will leave us once and for all. So that is where we really want the Stephen Bannon to be of immense help to us and all that.
What you got to see, Father, was I always tell people Vulnerable People Project is like it's like an iceberg. And most of an iceberg is under the water. You only see the top. And I was grateful that you kind of got to see where I think we do most of our work, whether it's taking a reporters out to dinner, which we got to do, or hanging out. I said to Nicole, I hope Father Victor might just think I hang out at bars all the time, and he does. I hope he, I hope he knows
Yeah,
that we're working.
you if I was not in the picture, that is what I would be thinking. But since I've been there, hearing the conversations and the discussion we've been having, I know that it's not just hanging around. Even you, when we hang around, what do you even take? Highest is water. Highest is water and coffee. But the sitting out comes up with a wonderful discussion, hoping for a fruitful outcome of such. So I wouldn't think otherwise.
So, but you got to see that this is building
Yeah.
relationships with journalists or elected officials or people in positions of influence, and just being present socially. But if we're always I do joke, 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 serious, joke, joke, serious.
Yeah, that has also exposed me. The NTD interview we had in the TV in Washington. One woman one family that I know in North Carolina saw me on that interview on TV. Immediately called me and said, "Oh, she heard this and heard about VPP and was asking, how can I help? How can I help?" I told her, okay, I think I gave her the link to VPP so that she can see whatever she can do. Because, what VPP is doing is even getting faster than the government. In as much as the American government has her own plans, but we don't know when that will manifest. But what VPP is doing, no matter how you feel is little, is a whole lot, and is on time. On time. Because just look at the church that was attacked yesterday night. Uh, if VPP had immediately moved in, it wouldn't have happened. And think about the other ones that VPP have provided security for. At least to the glory of God, we have not heard of any incident, because the security presence of the security guards sponsored by VPP has helped a lot to ward off whatever security challenge that may come up. So it is something wonderful. So you see that already 21 of these places are covered. So if you want to wait for government, as we pray they should come, we don't even know when that will happen. So VPP has taken a step ahead of the government, and we see how much the American government will key into this and support VPP for what you guys are doing.
Well, Father Victor, you said you were impressed by how small we are, but the reality is we know a secret that the communities we serve have all the human resources that we need to serve those communities. So around the world, we have 14 employees that work for us inside Kabul, Afghanistan. Through you, how many people now? 68? I don't even know. Security guards. And in Nigeria, how many is it, Father? 63. And so, it's our partners that are the real heroes. It's our partners that do the real work. And one of our blessing is that we get to pay people in the country to serve the people in their country. So, and we can do that with 4 employees. We have a plan to double in size every year for the next 10 years. We'll never need more than 11 people. We could be $100 million a year organization. We would never need more than 10 people. And the reason why is because our country directors and our managers and the people that do the work are from those communities. All of our growth in Nigeria comes from you. There are other countries we don't grow because we can't find trusted partners, or you're also an amazing administrator. You're a world-class administrator. And so this is what allows us to grow and do the work that we do. And so we really are so grateful for you, that you allow us to do that. And I'm glad that you got to see how hard it is to fundraise, because it's not easy. It's like I live with a knife right here on my neck, which is good because I need that, because no one likes fundraising. So I have the knife on my neck so I can fundraise. But then also, where I think we're unique is, and you got to witness this not only in the United States, but when we went to Mexico. I can't wait to hear your opinions on Mexico and Eduardo Verástegui and all those great people. But, around the world, we build relationships with influential people and then try to leverage those relationships to serve the communities that we work for. Father, what did you think of the Capitol? Like, you got to see the National Mall and our monuments and all of that. What did you
Oh my
think?
goodness. Those places are so wonderful places. And of course, when we went to Mexico, I went to the Anahuac University. I went to the Basilica of Our Lady of Guadalupe. Even though it still pained my heart because I didn't have much time there at the Basilica because of the traffic in Mexico. We spent over 3 hours on the road and got there about 6 p.m. So we didn't stay long, but the few minutes I spent there was impactful. And when I related back to my people in Nigeria, I didn't know that many people know this place even more than myself, and I've been anticipating to get there. So it was wonderful, a wonderful place. Then the cathedral we went to in Washington D.C. That is another monumental church that, in fact, for me, is the mother of all churches in the world. Every corner is a chapel. Every corner is a chapel. It is so wonderful. Such a big and massive church building. It's wonderful. So when people have regard for God, they will be left at nothing to spend anything just to build up a wonderful edifice for God. So it is one of the places I enjoyed. And So many, and I'm happy that I have all those pictures, which when I get back, I will make sure that they are all printed out and I preserve them accordingly so that I will keep them. And of course, another thing I've learned is how Americans preserve their monument, their culture, museum. Some of these edifices I'm seeing are buildings that have been there for 100, 200 years, centuries, yet they keep on maintaining them. It's so wonderful. And it's not just the cathedral alone, even the houses I'm saying you will see a building from outside, you just rent it off. But when you go inside, you see how they maintain that building that have been built for years back. So it's something wonderful. And I think VPP is going to be that way so that it will grow into many years so that people will know that when it started years back, it has really helped a lot of people. So I've seen a lot and I really appreciated that.
Father, I hope you don't mind me bringing this up. Your flight was delayed quite a bit, and so I waited for hours. It was a great privilege because it was late at night, and the only people at the airport were cab drivers. So I spent 3 hours with cab drivers from Syria, from Palestine, from Afghanistan, all Muslim, and we were talking and laughing for 3 hours, having a great time. And then when you landed, you happened to ask me, "How do Muslims and Christians in America relate?" And I said, "Well, Father, all the men that I was talking to and laughing with were Muslim. In fact," and then you were surprised to find out my assistant was Muslim.
Yeah,
So do
I
you wanna
was.
share with like, your thoughts on how people across religions in America relate with each other and how you see that?
In fact, that's another aspect that I even forgot to mention. That the Americans are expecting the Thanksgiving on the 27th, right? So which the few people that people have met, they keep on talking about this. Whether they are Christians, Muslims, they are non-Catholics, they keep on talking about this. I think this is something that one event that unites the whole country. In some countries, for instance, like Nigeria, we have something like, don't mind me, something like football. Football in Nigeria unites Nigeria a lot. The day Nigeria has football match to play, that day we'll forget whether we are Christians or Muslims or there will be no terrorist attack, nothing. Everybody will be keen to watching the 11 people that have that are going out there to represent the country and bringing everybody together. So what I'm seeing in that front is that people in the world should know that they are coming from one source, which is God. You know, all the religions of the world believe in God, no matter the name they call him. So when we know that we are from one source, the things we do in this life, we should do it to the glory of God and for the good of the people around us. But unfortunately, some religion go about killing others in the name of God. So you wonder how can God send someone to kill for him? How would you be destroying the life of others in the name of God, even to the extent of going into the place of worship to do that? It's unfortunate. And of course, I will not be afraid to state here very clearly, like in the Nigerian case, right now that the argument is still going on the case of genocide against Christians. The point is that even when the Muslims, the extremists, are still arguing that Muslims are also killed, the point is that it's not the Christians that are killing Muslims. It's not. It's their fellow Muslim extremists that are killing them. It's not. So because the Christians understand that the God we serve is the Father of all, irrespective of your religion. So what I see in America is that everybody relates well and together. Now I see that a Christian can employ a Muslim and they work in perfect harmony. And I tell you, if I didn't ask Rita, your assistant, the church she attends, I wouldn't have known because she's even better than some Christians, so to say. She is dedicated than. So you see that a Jewish person can work with an atheist very well because no matter the name you call your God, we know that it is one God that created everyone. So, but that is what is lacking in our country. For instance, in our country, we are beginning now to have issues on Sundays. Muslims are beginning now to talk about how can Sundays be public holiday. Everybody should be going to work on Sundays. And they are beginning to have issues. During Christmas, Muslims don't pay attention to it. And during Salah holiday for Muslims, Christians don't pay attention. Not that the Christian wouldn't want to, but because of how hostile and how dangerous and violent then some of the Muslims are. That is why some Christians try to stay away to avoid trouble. So if we can learn this from America, having a day of a national celebration and also being able to work with each other irrespective of religion is something to be very wonderful and so good. That is why in Nigeria, when a Christian is the president, a Muslim is the vice president. When a Muslim is the president, Christian can be vice. But in this dispensation that we have Muslim and Muslim in president and vice president respectively, it was a big concern, and they're still talking about it up till now. Even when the problem might not necessarily be from the two of them, but they keep on talking about it. It shouldn't be the case. Whether you are a Muslim, whether you are a Christian, things are supposed to go well, and we relate accordingly with each other. So I have learned this from Americans, and I wish other countries, not just Nigeria, other countries can also learn from this.
I really thank you for that, Father. You know, a friend of mine who's Iraqi, because of his role in the Iraq government before the second Iraq war, he really was never allowed in the United States, but he was able to come for a mutual friend of ours' funeral. And I got to take him around the whole country for a couple of weeks. And I had asked him what was most surprising about the United States for him. He said, you know, as an Iraqi, he's a big, handsome Arab man. He said, I thought I'd be arrested at the airport or people would stare at me and give me dirty looks. He said, everywhere I went, people treated me like I belonged. He said, even in the Middle East and other Middle Eastern countries, he knows he's an outsider. Even in other neighborhoods in Iraq, he doesn't feel like he belongs. He said after one day in the United States, he felt like he belonged as much as in his neighborhood in Baghdad. And that's one thing that there are forces in this country trying to change, trying to polarize us. I feel like I'm writing an article now saying America's living through a color revolution, trying to foment division. But the reality is, it's the great mystery of us. We're one people. And we're much more accepting of the other than we see in ourselves, because we think of ourselves as prejudiced, as bigoted, as hateful. This is how Americans see themselves. But the truth is, they don't understand really how accepting of others as a people we are, and this is our treasure. So then we went to Mexico. I know you don't have much time left. And I'm so glad that you got to go to Mexico City and speak at a big convention hosted by Eduardo Verástegui, movie producer and human rights leader and devout Catholic man. I just want your perspective on our friends in Mexico City.
Oh, my goodness. It was beautiful. And you see, we are talking about the Muslim Christian dichotomy and all that. But, you know, even though I had a surprise that even at the international airport, that English is not spoken but Spanish. But even at that, at my entrance, I started feeling somehow. But when I got in contact with the people, even when they did not speak English, they made me feel at home. They tried their best to ensure that they accommodate me. Even the young guys I was with, the guys that immediately took me from the hotel to Eduardo's house. When I was telling them, I'm looking for you, I want to try to let you know where I'm going. They tell me, don't worry, you are coming, you will come, you come, you come. Because they wanted to have time with me. Do you know how we communicated? They will carry their phones, get to translation in their phone. They will write what they want to tell me in their phone, and the thing will translate it to English, and they will show me. I'll write it in English, it will translate it to Spanish and show them. So they were all out to interact with me, to talk to me. They were so welcoming. And I don't even want to talk about the aspect of pictures I took with them. In fact, you were not there that night. Almost everyone in that hall wanted to take picture with me. because they
They
saw
thought
me
you were a
on.
movie star. We were outside the hotel. They asked if we were movie stars
Huh,
because
they were
everyone
just
wanted
taking
pictures.
pictures with me. They saw me as one of them, irrespective of my color, irrespective of where I'm from and all that. They saw me as one of them, and above all, they saw me as a priest. Everyone wanted me to bless them. Everyone. Even though when we got to Eduardo's house, when it was about leaving, Eduardo said, I cannot live without me blessing him. He knelt down for me to bless him. That was so touching. So Mexico is a wonderful place, so welcoming. And I got to discover that many people there were not from Mexico. Some came from Spain, some came from Italy, some came from different countries. But you will not know because everyone saw themselves as one, especially as Catholics, as Christians, and people of different denominations. So it's something so wonderful that means a whole lot to me as well.
Well, Father, I'm so glad that you got to visit us, and we do hope that this is something we do annually with you. And even next time we can prepare even, we kind of were rushed in the middle of a lot of chaotic situations. And we brought you to New Braunfels, Texas, and it becomes like the busiest town in Texas that week because of the German
Yeah.
Wurstfest.
Yeah.
I mean, did you see the difference between the cultures in Texas and Virginia? Was it striking?
Well, in Virginia, I did not interact much with the people as I did in Braunfels. Though the family of Nicole took me around, it was just sightseeing, but it was wonderful. I ate their food and all that. I didn't have much interaction with people, but it was great. All the places I went to, I didn't see any form of discrimination and all that. It was so welcoming, and everyone was happy that I was with them. It was beautiful. So, but
Father, what go ahead.
talking about next time already. See, that is why I really want Trump to to rush in whatever he's doing, because right now, from what I heard over the news, the American embassy in Nigeria is canceling visas of people coming to America. Right now, that's what is going on. Even if you were given a visa, they will call you back and cancel it. And even some people, even as at yesterday at the airport, they were they were turned back because of the problem we are having. So it's a big concern. What these people are doing to us, they don't know. It's even more than killing. It goes beyond the killing to destroying our reputation, destroying our people. And of course, not just the America alone. Everywhere you go now in the world, once you say you are a Nigerian, people will look at you two times because of the bad image our leaders are painting in our country. So it's so sad, so sad.
That is sorrowful, Father. Well, I hope to visit you in Nigeria soon.
That
And
would be
so, sort
great.
of on that note, um, well, let's maybe end with this. What is your hope for the relationship between VPP and Nigeria in the year of 2026? The end of the year, what do you hope that we have accomplished?
VPP has done so much for Nigeria in the summary I wrote and gave to that Lex Lax. I gave to her. I've stated a whole lot of things. We are, to some extent, some people are alive because of VPP. To some extent, I'm serious. Otherwise, it would have been something different. So the support that Vulnerable People's Project have given to us in Nigeria is massive. So far, we started with just one place hospital to 5 institutions, and now 21. And amidst these 21, we have gotten solar lights, water, security, and paying school fees across board to the orphans and to other people who are in need, and also providing means of livelihood to the young people who had lost hope in life. So already we are in talks with two dioceses that are at the forefront of the Boko Haram in Benue State, in Kaduna State. So currently, I am in discussion with the bishops of these two places to see what VPP can do to support and aid them. So when I mentioned this to these bishops, they were very happy because they said they had given up hope. They had given up hope. So, but coming to hear that an organization like VPP is coming up to support them means a whole lot. So what we have benefited this year is massive. And of course, like Oliver Twist, we continue to ask for more. Uh, to see not just more for people to be alive, and to when people are alive, it gives VPP satisfaction, because that's what the whole thing is all about. So we want to sincerely thank you for all that you have done for us.
Well, Father, thank you for your leadership. Our team, Lex and Nicole, just put at the behest of a member of Congress, our Substack that we wrote together with our suggestions to the President of the United States was read at the White House. And we now know, thanks to a member of Congress staff we met with this week, that members of Congress are reading it. And actually, in a committee that's meeting with the Nigerian government, they're sharing our suggestions that you led those suggestions. Um, so that gives us hope. And we put together, at the request of a member of Congress, we put together a plan of what it would take to secure all of the Christian communities in
Yes.
Nigeria.
Yes.
And we're finishing up that plan now, and we'll be submitting it actually today. But as you said, with or without the government, we are committed. And so VPP alone will go to 100 institutions by God's grace by 2026, like Oliver Twist, and we're going to go from 21 to 100. Our goal in year 2, without the government, pray they come in. But I always say, we have a saying here and the team, I don't know if you heard me say it, we don't give others veto of our success, veto authority over our success. And so with or without the government, we will in 2027, by God's grace, reach 1,000 Christian institutions. And this is our commitment at VPP, but this has only been made possible through your leadership, Father Victor. And so we are really so grateful to have partnered with you. And I'm so grateful to that Lebanese Catholic woman that pestered me to death
Yeah,
when I was drowning in
that reminds
Ukraine.
me. That reminds me. I told her that I am here in the South Carolina, and she said she has to see me. She already booked a flight for me to come to Florida tomorrow. So tomorrow I'll be going to Florida to see
Well,
her.
tell her I said thank you because I was not nice.
Now,
I don't know if you've
when I
seen me. I
get
get
there,
not nice sometimes, Father. I get tough. And I was drowning in Ukraine. I was in Ukraine. I just got back from Ukraine. We were in Afghanistan. And she's like, what about Nigeria?
yeah,
And I'm like, well, we're so small, but people think we're so much bigger than we are. And I'm
think
like,
I don't know. Is it possible for us to have this again, maybe on Friday with her?
on this show,
Yes,
yeah, we'll do another show with her. We'll have Ritha set it up because, she came. I
yes.
was just flew in from Ukraine to New York City. I was speaking at a Ukrainian Catholic church, beautiful church in New York on the war. And she was there and she was lovely. But, it gets tense around here. And then the war had just started in Ukraine and we were still had a massive operation in Afghanistan. But her point was, you're doing all this work in Afghanistan protecting Muslim girls and da da da. But what about the Christian girls that are being kidnapped in Nigeria? And what about this? And what about that? And in my naivete, Father, I really thought Nigeria, because it was such a catastrophe and such a um, at the forefront of our attention of Christian persecution, I thought there would be just overwhelming support in Nigeria for the Christian community. And it's sad that it's just not true because the more challenging it is, the more risk there is, the larger, well-funded organizations have more to lose. And so they become risk averse. That's one of the reasons I keep us small because I'm afraid to grow because if we grow, we'll become risk averse. And so I'm so glad we're in Nigeria and I'm so glad we're expanding in Nigeria. But it's the same in Gaza. I really have just been baffled at how little support for the Christians in Gaza there are. I mean, there's 800 Christians left in Gaza. There are 1 billion Christians on the planet. It shouldn't be hard for us to provide for them aid and comfort and support. So it's striking. And it was the same thing in Ukraine in the first days of the war. It was shocking for the first several months how there was almost no effective aid reaching the front lines of the war. And VPP was one of the few groups up there in the front lines offering support. So, but it's because we're small, so we can be we can be risky. We can take risks where others can't.
Okay. So I will communicate with her and try to see how we can have this again on Friday with her.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. And Father, you got to do me a favor while you're in South Carolina. You have to drink a gallon of sweet tea, like a big gallon. You have to get diabetes. You have to drink so much sweet tea, you have to get
All right.
diabetes.
I'll try my best. I'll try my best. Thank you
Okay.
so much.
All
Thank
right,
you so
Father
much.
Victor, I'm gonna end the show. You can I saw
All right.
your chaplain friend from Nigeria in his army
Yes.
uniform.
Yes.
It made me miss being in the military. I saw him putting his BDUs on in the back. That was great.
Yes. Yes. He's in the military. He's a non-combatant army chaplain.
Yeah, well, the chaplains are such a blessing, and I know the chaplain corps is under threat, and I hope that it continues. Thank you, Father Victor.
All right. Thanks for having me. Regards to everyone.
Uh,
Bye.
Aloha. All right, guys, that was a great Father Victor. I'm glad you get to meet Father Victor. He has been the foundation of everything that we do in Nigeria, and I'm glad you got to listen to him because I said this in an earlier show. A lot of times people find it hard to believe we do what we do, and they don't understand how we do what we do, especially with such a small budget. But the reality is that people we serve are served by their own people. And this allows us to stretch our donations very far. In fact, 93 cents out of every dollar goes to direct aid. 93 cents out of every dollar. And this is because, as Father said, we have 4 people that work a lot. Um, and like you said, I hope the labor department doesn't send us a letter now after this. But we have 4 people. We work a lot. But sometimes it feels like we don't even work. Sometimes I say to my sister Rita, she's right here. Don't we say, "Are we working right now?" They can't hear you shake your head. We're like, "Are we working right now?" And but then we list what we did for the day. We're like, "Oh, we did a lot of work, but it didn't feel like any work." Why? Because we love what we do, and it is such a grace, and it is such a privilege to serve the most vulnerable people in the world. And you know what I know? I know my donors would rather have we're a team, right? And I think my donors would say, "I'd rather your job, Jason. I would rather you manage people's money all day, take the train into New York City, and go up into the skyscraper and sit at my desk and manage people all day. Well, I got to do your job, but that's just not how it works, guys. Unfortunately, I got the cool part. I have the best part. I do what you all want to do. But you're a dentist, you're a firefighter, you're raising a family, you're a homemaker, and we're a team though. And what really drives our work are the donors. I say we're like a hotel. I say we're not a human rights organization, we're a hospitality organization. And the owners of the hotel are our donors. And we're just the concierge desk. The people we serve are the guests in the hotel. They call down, "Hey, we need firewood. Hey, we need insulin. Hey, we need security guards." And we're like, "Yes, sir. Security guards coming your way. Yes, insulin is on the way. Yes, we're getting the firewood." But all of that is made possible by the owners of our hotel. The owners are the donors. That's you. So go to our website, vulnerablepeopleproject.com. It'll be in the show notes. You can click through, look at the work that we do. Look what the work we do in Nigeria and around the world. I'm also going to put the Substack that Father Victor and I wrote together on our suggestions to the President of the United States. First of all, thanking him for prioritizing the concerns of the Christians in Nigeria and telling the truth that it's Islamist extremists that are killing the Christians. This is what is happening. And they're also killing Muslims, but it is Islamist extremism. Thank him for telling the truth. And we thank him for saying he's going to address it, and then we give some suggestions. That's also going to be in the show notes. So check those both out. All right, guys. Um, Again, I'm so glad you got to meet Father Victor, and I'm so glad Father Victor got to meet us. Now he leaves soon, so pretty soon we can start yelling at each other and being rude and arguing and driving crazy again. But we got to keep up the good face until he leaves. All right, guys. Until next time, the Jason Jones Show. Aloha.